Welcome back to my channel. My name is Naomi T. Grant. If this is your first time here, if this is not your first time here, thank you so much for tuning back in. On my channel, I focus on content surrounding beauty, fashion, and lifestyle. So if you guys are interested in topics of that nature, make sure that you guys subscribe, like, and share this video if you enjoy it. So if you guys are not new here and you've been watching my videos for a while, I have a new hairstyle. I have gone blonde. I grew my hair out for a little bit if you guys have watched like a few of my past videos, and I really didn't know what I was going to do with it. All I knew was that I wanted a little bit of a change, so I decided to go blonde, and maybe I'll play around with more colors after this or cut it off, like who knows. But I didn't record how I got to this color, but I will link down below all of the steps and all the different products and stuff that I use to achieve this look. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure that you check the description box. And definitely, if I decide to color my hair in any way in the future, I will definitely be filming it. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. Never thought I will be doing hair tutorials on my channel, but you know, if you guys want it, I will give you guys what you guys want to see. So in today's video, as you guys can tell by the title, it's all about healing, how to glow up and move on from a breakup. So if you guys have been following my channel for a while, for my birthday staycation video, I opened up to you guys and told you guys how I just kind of was going through like the beginning stages of a breakup, like really fully getting to the place where I was accepting that the relationship was ending. So the past relationship that I have that I was referring to in that video is the relationship I have with my son's father. And for that reason, because obviously I have a child with this person, I'm not going to be spilling the tea or talking trash or saying anything negative about them. For the respect that I have for my kid, I would never do anything like that. But I think that there's a lot of things that I have done since that moment until now that really has helped me get to a really great place, and I wanted to share that with you guys just in case you're going through something similar. All of this is really a great way to stop, reflect, and reinvent yourself and become much better after some unfortunate situations. Just to kind of let you guys know like where I was at, what this relationship was like, my previous relationship was like. I was in a relationship from the age 20 to 26. So I was in a very transformative stage in my life. I think anytime, like your 20s are really about exploring yourself and finding out who you are. And during that time, I had linked my personality, or just, you know, my identity, my self-worth was connected to the relationship. And then when I had my son, it was not only connected to the relationship and making it work for us to be one big happy family, it was also linked to me being a mom now. So my self-worth and my identity hadn't been linked to, you know, the things I wanted to do, what I was really excited about. I never really took the time to explore the things that I wanted to do and who I was. I just kind of connected my identity to these things, which are very important things. I think that anyone who's in a long-term relationship with someone that they deeply care about, and then when you become a mother, it's important that those things are high values in your life. But it is also equally as important to make sure that you have identity for yourself outside of that. So because my identity was so linked to that, when that came to an end, it was like world shattering. I didn't know what was my next steps, how was my life gonna look like. I was in a really bad place. I felt like, you know, well, if this relationship didn't work and, you know, I'm not with the person who I have a child with, like who else is gonna want me now? How is this gonna work? Because when I stepped into this relationship, I was 20, I had no kids, I was a whole different kind of person, right? It just was my point of view, my state of mind. I wasn't in the best place. I was really lost, really confused, and conflicted about where I wanted my life to be. So just to kind of give you guys some context, this was roughly around in December when I kind of got myself to a place of acceptance. Tip number one, after I got to a place where I was accepting that the relationship was over and, you know, just get into a place where I was finally okay with that option. Like, all right, I don't feel like there's anything else I could do. It's over. I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to get back with my ex. Like, that's also important. If you are doing, none of these tips are going to work if you're trying to get back with your ex. Like, this is about you. This is about your healing. If you're doing all of this to get your ex's attention, you're wasting your time. All of this is useless. Every single tip that I'm going to give you guys are going to be about how you are going to come out a better person outside of this. This is not about your ex. You want to get to a point where you're almost unrecognizable to your ex because you've done so much work on yourself and healing yourself that you and your ex probably, like, you're going to have to reintroduce yourself to your ex if you guys ever want to have a conversation about anything serious in the future. So that's number one. But the first thing I had to do was I had to write down a list of all of the reasons why the relationship ended, why you decided to break up with your ex, or why you don't ever want to get back with your ex. This is really important because when you're in a relationship with someone, sometimes you don't really see a lot of the red flags or all of the things that maybe have went wrong, or ways that you handle things and ways that you wish you would have handled things differently when you're in the relationship. Like, when you're in the thick of it, it's hard for you to really see what's going on. What I found when I was doing and writing down this list is, as I was trying to recount and think back at certain moments and certain things that happened in a relationship, I would be actually shocked, like, yo, I can't believe, yeah, that did happen, and I didn't like how that felt. And yeah, like, you forget, like, you genuinely forget, because the only thing that's important in that moment when you're in the relationship is making it work. So for me, there will be things that were like, now that I'm looking back, are like total, like, red flags, like no-brainers, that's not okay, unacceptable. Another reason why this is really important, because like I said, this is not like an ex bashing your ex kind of situation. This is really important to really pay attention to how, like, what things you accepted and allowed in this relationship. As much as you might want to change the narrative about how horrible your ex was, or what you wish your ex would have done differently, and oh my god, all of that, you have to take responsibility and accountability for the fact that you allowed and accepted a certain kind of treatment. People are only going to treat you however way you allow them to treat you. So if you tell them that, no, we don't do this over here, I don't play those games, I don't let people talk to me that way, I don't let people treat me this way, this is the standard, people will not treat you any way that they want. They either are going to respect your boundary and treat you the way that you see fit, or they're not going to be in your life. So this part is so important, because for me, I was able to see that there were so many red flags. Like, there were things, the things that ultimately ended the relationship were things that had already been happening for years and years and years. You know what I'm saying? So if you're able to really identify what those things were, you're able to recognize them in other relationships in the future. It'll stop you from repeating the same pattern over and over and over. This next tip is really important, because when relationships end, sometimes people have a hard time with figuring out, like, what do I do with this person? Like, I spoke to this person every day, maybe I spent all this time with this person. Maybe your lives are so kind of like intertwined with one another. It's kind of hard to figure out, like, what do you do with this person now that you guys decided to not be in a relationship? My tip is, you cannot have access to your ex, and they cannot have access to you, okay? Y'all don't need to be following each other on social media. Y'all don't need to be calling and texting each other like nothing happened. Y'all don't even need to be hanging out fresh after the breakup. Give yourself some time to really, like, stop, think, process, grieve, feel what you need to feel. Like, you can't grow if you're still in the midst of that situation. Like, personally for me, I have had a hard time with that, because I would be like, oh, we broke up, but we're still doing everything like we're not broken up. But then I want to my feelings get hurt if the other person does something like they're single, because I feel like we're acting like we're together, but technically we're not. I know that sounds confusing, but you feel what I'm trying to say. You need to give yourself, like, a little bit of time and space to process and heal. And honestly, after certain breakups, y'all don't need to have a relationship. Y'all probably don't even need to be friends. Like, think about it. Like, for me, I had to really think, if you treated me a certain way in our relationship, would I really want a friend like that? Like, would I even want to be friends with you? Would you want to be friends with me? What do we have to kind of give each other outside of the relationship now that it's over? Probably nothing. probably if you give each other enough space to really think and process, you guys probably wouldn't want to talk to each other for a while. That's a good thing. That is actually not a bad thing. You don't need to keep tabs on what your ex is doing. And they don't need to keep tabs on you. They don't need to call you like, hey, what you doing at any time of the night? Let's chit chat and talk. It's confusing. You can't process what you've gone through. You can't heal from what you've gone through. You need your space. This stuff is super important because I believe in the power of like just having a tribe and have a good group of people around you. This tip is to make sure you have a really good support system. And if you don't have that, finding a tribe in some way, shape, or form. The reason why it's really important to have a support system or having a tribe during this time is because you're going to feel really lonely. Like, you're going to feel really bad. You're going to feel really sad, really lonely, really angry, really upset. And having people around you to kind of like nurse you back to health in a sense, or really like help you through this time is super, super important. You want to have people around you who, you know, you don't want people around you who are going to just like sit around and y'all gonna bash your ex all day. Like, that's really not helpful. But people who you can genuinely open up to and talk about your feelings, because if you do not have that, it's so easy to get back into that same pattern that you just fell out of. Like, for me, I had a lot of friends that I had from before this relationship. So these are people who've known me for years and like really, really know me for me. And when a relationship ended and I was really lost and confused and all those things that you feel after a relationship, they were able to remind me like, you are a great person, you are worthy of love. I had friends who really just kind of reminded me like, nah, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be good, like, you're loved, like, you're not gonna be alone, we got you, we're here for you. And that was one of the most important things for me, because I knew that I had people around me, and not just anybody around me. I had a solid group of people who genuinely loved me and would give me very amazing sound advice that was helpful to my growth, like truly helpful to my growth. Now, speaking about talking to someone and having someone around you to help you through this time, I think it's also important, I've spoken about this in videos in the past, to seek professional help if you need. If a relationship was very emotionally draining, very toxic, even, I hate to say this because this does happen to people, very abusive, whether it's emotionally and even physically, you might need to actually speak to someone professionally to kind of help you process and deal with the relationship. There might be a lot of things that happen in a relationship that you thought were pretty much normal or okay, and seeking professional help can allow you to really unpack that and understand why certain things maybe happened in your past are connected with some of the choices that you made in the relationship. This really is about you unpacking and understanding why maybe you allowed certain things, why you behaved a certain way. Really, we're focusing more about, this whole thing is about focusing more about you, learning more about yourself, because with every situation that you go through, with every broken relationship, every job that you lose, every quote-unquote failure in life, there's always something to learn from it. And a lot of times it's really hard to really learn like what was the point of this heartache, this pain, this moment, if you are not if you're not really kind of getting to the root of the issue. Because this relationship could end and you could go on and get in a relationship with someone just like this person, like be in the same kind of relationship over and over and over and over again. We've seen it happen to people. This happens to people all the time, where it seems like they keep getting into these relationships that just aren't good for them. Like, you might know someone who's a really good, kind, loving friend and a good person, but they just happen to always get into these horrible relationships, and you're like, I don't understand why. A lot of times it's because a lot of their childhood trauma they're not unpacking, they're not dealing with, they're not getting to the root of why they keep attracting certain kinds of people in their life. So depending on the relationship and like how you personally feel about it, it might be really, really good to seek professional help. I have seen a therapist, like the first time I saw a therapist, I was probably 17 or 18, so it's something that I feel quite comfortable with. I will link some outlets that I have used to find therapists down below. No matter what your health insurance is, you can find a therapist, and I do believe that there are some apps that I've been seeing recently on social media, that if you don't have a therapist, there are payment plans or really affordable ways for you to still be able to seek therapy. I think especially right now, due to the pandemic, there's a lot of platforms to help people with their mental health. So this is the perfect time for you to kind of dive into it, because it's not something that's a secret anymore. Like, everyone's talking about taking care of your mental health and therapy. So I'll link down below some really great helpful outlets for you guys to check out if you're interested. So since we've been talking about how we're feeling about the relationship and speaking to therapy, just basically talking about our feelings, it's really important to really identify what kind of life you want. What do you really want for your life, period? Because I assume that if you made the decision to leave the relationship, you were unhappy with how the relationship was making you feel or where it was going, right? But what do you actually want? Like, what kind of relationship do you want? Like, okay, you don't like that, but then what do you want? Really plan out what your ideal relationship is. And I know this seems really like high schooly, like write down your ideal man, but that's not really what I mean. Talk about, like, when you write down your most ideal relationship or situation or life, think about how, like, really feel that. Like, how would it feel like to have this kind of person in your life? What kind of personality traits or characteristics do you really want in a partner? You learn about yourself through relationships, and especially the failed ones, because you're really able to say, you know, I did that, I didn't like that, and I don't want that to happen again. So what's the opposite of that? Like, what would be the most ideal way for a person that I want to be with, the most ideal person I want to be with? How would they handle a situation like this? Really get down to the nitty gritty about what kind of ideal situation you want to be in, and also be real about what kind of ideal person do you want to be, because sometimes certain relationships bring out the worst in you. Like, I can look back at some of the ways that I behaved and acted in certain relationships in the past, and that was not my most ideal. Like, though I'm not proud of some of those moments. I'm not proud of how I handle certain things, and that's okay. Like, I'm not beating myself about it. These are learning experiences. But really be clear about, not only do you want from a partner, but what kind of partner do you want to be? It's a lot easier for me to see, like, long term what kind of person or ideal person I want to be with, because I have a child. Like, I think about how I want that person to be, not only in my life but in my son's life. Really have a good idea about how you really want to feel in this life, and what you want to feel around the people that you love in your life. This will be great for friendships. This will be great for work. Just having that mentality will just be great for your life. This next tip is very, very important. This is not a competition, okay? So do not rush this process. Do not rush your healing. Healing takes time. You really need to give yourself some time and some space to really come to a place where you've not only accepted that the relationship ended, that you've healed from it, and you're ready, you're embracing the changes that came with that, and you're okay with it, right? That takes time. So as tempting as it may be to want to get yourself a new boo and show up on Instagram and show that you moved on, because maybe your ex did it, and you might want to be like, oh, my ex moved on, so I got to show that I moved on. I got to show that I'm over it, because I don't want people to look at me and, you know, think all these different things. Who cares? Who cares? This is not about your ex. This is not what random people on the internet might think or might not think about whatever is going on in your life. It's not about anybody else but you and your process. You have to be okay with just healing and getting yourself together privately and not worrying about everybody else. Like I said, it's about you. It's about your healing. Healing takes time. It takes time for you to even get to the point where the relationship ended and you made the choice, or maybe didn't make the choice, to break up with the person. That takes time for a relationship to end. Usually it's been, you know, ending for a while. So it took time for you to get there. It's going to take time for you to get to a place where you're accepting it and you're okay with it. Might take time for you to, if you're seeing a therapist, to kind of get to that point in your therapy where you're like, okay and accepting and feeling good, or maybe unpacking some of those childhood traumas or unresolved trauma that you faced in your life. All of that takes time. Healing takes time. We've all heard the saying, the best way to get over one guy is to get under another. I do not advise that. Although it might be fun and exciting to do, that's not what's going to heal you. So I'm going to give you guys a personal example. So after my first heartbreak, has nothing to do with my most recent breakup. I told you I was going to give you guys examples from relationships, and it doesn't all have to be from that one. But I decided that after my first heartbreak, I would basically move on with the guy who had always been my friend, but he always liked me, but like we were always friends. We never had anything going on when I was in the relationship with the guy. And when the relationship ended and I decided to try to make a relationship form between me and the guy, a guy that clearly I wasn't that interested in to begin with, like relationship wise, because if that was the case, I wouldn't have been able to just be friends with him, because I was able to be friends with him because I wasn't that interested in him in the first place. And I remember just kind of getting repulsed by him because I was forcing myself to move on with him to make me feel better about, you know, my past relationship. Needless to say, I ended up losing a friend, and clearly that relationship didn't work out, and I didn't feel much better about myself. In fact, I felt kind of worse because I didn't really deal with that relationship and healing from it, or maybe unpacking like what happened, why certain things happened, why I behaved a certain way, why this person did. Like I never really dealt with it. I just figured like, let me just put it in the back of my brain and move on to someone else and focus on something and someone else. That never works. So give yourself time. It is okay to be alone. Like I said, if you have a good tribe and a good group of people around you, you're never really gonna feel lonely. You'll always have people to check in on you, people you could talk to, hang out with. You'll always be loved and feel love around you. So give yourself time to really dig deep into this, heal from it, move on. Because after you get to that place where you're over it, like, you're gonna almost be unrecognizable to the woman you were when you left out of that relationship. This tip is my favorite, the most important tip. It's also the last tip. I know it's coming to a close, but it is to invest in yourself in any way, shape, or form that you can. You don't have to have thousands of dollars to invest in yourself, but this time is really all about you. You are healing yourself. You're getting yourself in a better place. You start feeling yourself. Like, we want to get to a point where, although this was a really difficult time, heartbreak is not easy, heartbreak hurts, heartbreak sucks, this is gonna pass. Like, this is not how you're gonna be feeling forever. So we really want to think about how we want to feel and be at the end of this. What version of you do you want to come out of this whole situation as, you know? So think about that, and what would that version of you need? Like, for me personally, I knew that I wanted to have have a healthier lifestyle, like a whole healthy lifestyle, like the things that I eat, me exercising, my relationships with people, just overall, I just wanted to live a healthier and happier life. So I started incorporating things in my daily life that made me feel that way. I started drinking more water. I started exercising. I started building on the relationships that I had with my friends and family that I probably didn't invest in or pay as much attention to, or just felt like I, you know, missed out on over the years. So that was really, really important to me. What else did I do? I started my YouTube channel. This is something that I really did start to do like in the midst of everything. So this is something I've always wanted to do, and I decided to do it right in the midst of this. And it really did help me get through, because not only did I have to, you know, get dressed and put on makeup and all that to sit in front of a camera, but I was able to focus on something I was really passionate about and grow on that. So that was an investment that I made into myself. Another investment that I made into myself was starting a business. I will be launching my business very soon. I'm coming on to like the ending parts, like right before launching. I even launched my Instagram page for my business, which I will link down below, but it's something that I have been working on for a while and was kind of nervous about launching. It was kind of going back and forth, like, should I do it, should I not do it? And ultimately I was like, you're only gonna fail if you don't try. Like, if you don't try, then you fail. So you can't think that, oh, you're gonna launch it. I was thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna launch it, what if it doesn't do well? Okay, then you'll learn from it. The same way with this heartbreak, this breakup. All right, the relationship ended. Yes, it hurts, it sucks, but you're gonna learn from it, and hopefully you're gonna be better because of it. So in any way, shape, or form that you can invest in yourself, please do this. I started just to pay more attention to myself, and ultimately just started to make some changes in my everyday life so I can get slowly but surely to the better version of myself that I want to become. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys found all these tips helpful, all these different ways that, well, how many ways? I think it was like 7 different tips on how you can move on and glow up after a breakup. If you guys are going through a breakup and you guys are doing some of these tips or have some tips that work for you, feel free to link them down below. Even if you've overcome from a breakup or gotten over a relationship or just any kind of heartbreak, any kind of loss, would love to see them, and hopefully you can help somebody else as well with your great tips and suggestions. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know by liking this video, share this video with someone who you think might find it helpful, subscribe to my channel, of course, if you haven't already, and make sure that you guys hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time that I post. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.